Good morning.
Members, let's pray. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetuoa nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu. Tunakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi sisi utumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri hii yetu. Tunakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tulikutanika hapa na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakufikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi hii yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amina.
So, our members,
for 10 minutes, and the Majority Whip and the Minority Whip are asked to do what they need to do this morning.
The prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, as you can see, the House clearly does not have enough number of members for it to be regarded to have attained that quorum or reached that particular quorum. However, as you can see, those are more members making their way into the chambers. Currently, the Speaker has directed that the bell be rung for 10 minutes. Of course, this is to give room for the members who may be within the precincts of Parliament, but yet to make their way into the chambers to do just right that and enable the House attain that particular quorum required for the House to commence its business, of course, as provided for the House Standing Order number 34, paragraph 1. So if you're just joining us, is that the House is about to commence its business. However, we are still waiting for the quorum to be achieved. Members are still making their way into the chambers, though the prayer has been said and the chair taken. We are yet to attain or raise the required quorum for the House to be able to commence its business. So the quorum bell is on, and once that quorum is raised, then we shall, without any further delay, hand this particular business or proceedings of the House over to you to follow. But back to the business that this morning the members will be transacting. They will be considering a report on the 2025 budget policy statement. This is a motion that will be moved by the Chairperson Liaison Committee. And this is with regards, this is a report that was laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 11th of March, the year 2025, that is yesterday in the afternoon sitting. The House will be adopting the report which approves the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026. Remember, it's just about 3 months to the end of this particular financial year, that is 2024-2025. And already the budget cycle has been on. This is the budget policy statement for the 2025-2026 financial year. The House will also be adopting this particular report, which makes these financial resolutions with respect to the BPS, that is the budget policy statement, that the national government budget ceiling be approved, at 2.5 trillion shillings. Also resolves that the allocation of county government equitable share be approved at 405 billion Kenya shilling. Resolves that consistent with the latest audited and approved revenues for financial year 2020 and 2021. Amounting to 1.5 trillion. The allocation to the equalization fund be set as 7.8 billion. So these are figures that the members, as they sit this morning, will be able to, of course, dissect for the public to be able to understand. But all these figures or numbers are with regards to the budget process or the budget cycle that each and every financial year the executive, of course, through parliament has to set. I can see the majority whip, Honorable Silvana Sosoro, indicating that the number may have been achieved. Just to allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. Good morning.
All members, I confirm that we quorate. Order. 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 The Honorable Hillary, get a seat. The Honorable Kamatek, get a seat. Member for Sirisia, get a seat. Members, I confirm that you got quorum. The Honorable Italangi, the Honorable Member for Lugari and your erstwhile colleague, would you? All members, I confirm that we now have quorum and we can start business.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority whip.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, March 12th, 2025, morning sitting. A, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30th June 2021, 30th June 2022, 30th June 2023, and the certificates therein in respect of 1. ACK Nyanduma Secondary School, 2. AIC Mutunguni Girls Secondary School, 3. AIC Nyayo Girls Secondary School, 4. Adi Secondary School, 5. Bahati PCA Girls Secondary School, 6. Barazani Girls High School, 7. Cheplachebei East Secondary School, 8. Dundori Secondary School, 9. Gidurimu Girls High School, 10. Gikundui Secondary School, 11. Gilgil Girls High School, 12. Ilbisil Girls Secondary School, 13. Ivaini Secondary School, 14. Kakuyuni Boys Secondary School, 15. Kasikeu Girls Secondary School, 16. Kingogoi Secondary School, 17. Kitondo Boys Secondary School, 18. Kiunguruini Mixed Secondary School, 19. Kaolel High School, 20. Kiondoni Girls High School, 21. Lamudiak High School, 22. Lugulu Girls High School, 23. Marafa Boys Secondary School, 24. Matungulu Girls Secondary School, 25. Mboni Boys High School, 26. Merit Secondary School, 27. Molo Academy Boys Secondary School, 28. Mona Secondary School, 29. Mona Secondary School, 30. Musuaini Secondary School, 31. Nakuru Central Secondary School, 32, Nyoro Girls High School, 33, Mseveni Secondary School, 34, Olkajuodo High School, 35, RCEA Biwot Ngelel Tarit Secondary School, 36, Regina Saili Girls High School, Karinga, 37, Reverend Muhoro Secondary School for the Deaf, 38, South Tetu Girls High School, 39, St. Augustine Gikondi Boys Secondary School, 40, St. Bakita Kiburia Girls Secondary School, 41, St. Mary's Kamoria Secondary School, 42, St. Monica Munyaka Girls Secondary School, Nyeri, and 43, Utumishi Boys Academy. B, submissions of the nominee for the National Government Constituency Development Fund committees for the following constituency: in Abokoi, Eldai, Alego, Usonga, Bahati, number 5, Bomashoge, Borabu, Bomet East, Borabu, Budalangi, Bura, Chepalungu, Chesumei, Embakasi North, Embakasi West, Mgwen, Amuria, Dikir, Gishugu, Igembe North, Isiolo South, Kaloleni, Keses, Kibwezi East, Kibwezi West, Kieni, Kilgoris, Kiminini, Kinango, Kinoin, Langata, Lari, Likuyani, Limuru, Malava, Mandera South, Marakwet East, Mavoko, Mbere North, Mbooni, Mogotio, Molo, Mosop, Mwingi West, Narok West, Ndiwa, Njoro, North Imenti, North Hor, North Mugirango, Nyakach, Nyeri Town, Pokot South, Rongai, Ruaraka, Ruiru, Singwet, Sion, Soy, Suba South, Subukia, Tetu, Daraka, Tinderer, Tumbo, Voi, and Westlands. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I lay.
Thank you. Sigowet Soin. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
We have, I don't know if members in the House, I've seen Honorable Monchoke in the House. Monchoke, go ahead. And please read the statement as is.
I will, Speaker.
Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education regarding the alarming state rate of drug and substance abuse or use among university students in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, drug and substance abuse among young people, especially university students, is an increasing public health concern. A recent report released by the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse in January 2025 revealed that 45% of university students have used at least one drug in their lifetime. The most commonly available and accessible substances in the university environment and surrounding areas include alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, and cat, miran, and muguka. Honorable Speaker, many young people resort to using drugs to cope with the social and psychological challenges they encounter during various stages of development, particularly from adolescence to young adulthood. These challenges may include the desire to feel good, the need for social interaction, and issues related to personal or social adjustment. Additionally, Many students find themselves away from parental supervision and authority, which creates an environment that encourages and controls
Ruku, you shall not do what you are trying
experimentation.
to do. Order. The Honorable Nchoki shall listen to in silence. Proceed.
Additionally, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Ruku is out of order.
Order. The Honorable Ruku. The Honorable Ruku, you shall be silent as every member puts his statement across. The Honorable Nchoki, you can start afresh. You can start from the beginning.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for protecting me. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education regarding the alarming rate of drug and substance use among university students in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, drug and substance abuse among young people, especially university students, is an increasing public health concern. A recent report released by the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse in January 2025 revealed that 45% of university students have used at least one drug in their lifetime. The most commonly available and accessible substances in the university environment and surrounding areas include alcohol, tobacco, cannabis, and cat, i.e. miraa and muguka. Honorable Speaker, many young people resort to using drugs to cope with the social and psychological challenges they encounter during various stages of development, particularly from adolescence to young adulthood. These challenges may include the desire to feel good, the need for social interaction, and issues related to personal or social adjustment. Additionally, many students find themselves away from parental supervision and authority, which creates an environment that encourages uncontrolled experimentation with the drugs and other risky behaviors. These factors can negatively impact students' academic performance, mental health, and overall well-being, even post-university stage. Honorable Speaker, it's against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Health on the following. 1, actions being taken to address drug and substance abuse among university students in Kenya. 2, plans put in place by the Ministry of Education to provide affordable and accessible treatment and rehabilitation services, especially tailored to meet the unique needs of students in institutions of higher learning. 3, prevention programs, guidance and counseling services available for students at the universities in Kenya. And 4, efforts being taken to accredit private hostels offering accommodation to university students to maintain control and to enforce compliance to standards so as to prevent access to abuse of drugs. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. I'll allow a few comments, but Honorable Ruku, you'll have to go. Order. You'll go up there and get your card and come. I'll give you a chance to speak. Correct. Go ahead and put your card in there. As he does that, Honorable Ruku, go ahead now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, according to Crop Act Regulation 2023, which was published on April 25, 2023, recognizes Mogoka Admira not as drug, but as stimulant, just like coffee and tea. It is wrong, Mr. Speaker, for the honorable member to stand and say that Mogoka is a drug which is affecting negatively the people of this republic. I want, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Njoke to withdraw that statement that Mogoka and Mira is a drug. Whereas we know the Corp Act 2023 Mira regulation defines what Mira is, as well as defines clearly what Mogoka is. And nowhere in the law, that regulation, where Mogoka or Mira is defined as a drug, is extremely against even Article 11 of our Constitution, which recognizes our culture. And our culture is part of the indigenous seeds. One of the indigenous seeds which is culturally recognized in my community Mbere is Mogoka. It has a cultural meaning, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
And for this House to listen to a statement which want to rule out or to make Mogoka.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Munyiri.
1 second, 2 seconds, I finish my statement.
Can we allow Honorable Munyiri to say something on this? It's not a debate we are engaging on. You got your chance.
Please, I can't. Please protect me, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
No, it is, Mr. Speaker, 2 seconds.
No, let him speak after I speak, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I think, Mr. Speaker, I take great exception when Ruku tries to
Honorable Ruku, not Ruku.
Honorable Ruku, sorry, tries to equate tea and coffee with Mogoka. I think in the English definition of drug, please, you will protect me, Mr. Speaker. He cannot claim that Mogoka and tea fall under the same, under any circumstances. A drug, according to the dictionary, is a medicine or other substance which has a psychological effect when ingested or otherwise introduced into the body. I did not hear Honorable Onchoke talk about illicit or licit. He just said a drug. And clearly Mogoka is a drug. It's a sub. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ruku. Do you consider cigarettes as a drug?
Sorry?
Cigarettes. Would you say cigarettes is a drug? Cigarettes. Would you say that's a drug? You don't say cigarettes.
Mr. Speaker,
cigarettes.
Mr. Speaker, according to the laws of the Republic of Kenya,
I've asked you a question. I've asked, would you consider cigarettes a drug or not?
Answer your question, Mr.
Yes.
Speaker. According to Article 11 of our Constitution, and according to Mera regulation, which was published on 25th April 2023, Mr. Speaker, Mogoka and Mera are not recognized as drugs in the Republic of Kenya. And therefore, it is wrong, Mr. Speaker, for the honorable member to categorize Mogoka as a drug. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Baya.
Mr. Speaker, you know, Honorable Ruku has always used this idea of Mogoka to win votes in his place. But I want to warn him, this time it will not happen. But I want to say this. You see, there's something called legislative mischief. Legislative mischief, which Honorable Ruku participated in to sneak a definition of Mogoka in the definition of Mira, you know, and used the regulations and sneaked in something funny there. But we're going to cure it. And I want to tell Ruku that this parliament will cure the legislative mischief that he did with his brother when he was in the ministry. But I also want to say this. The Honorable Honorable Speaker, he's reading about statistics from NACADA. This is not his statement. It is statement from NACADA. NACADA is the agency in this country that controls the drugs, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, Honorable Ruku needs to know that Mogoka is not the only crop in this country. You know, and he needs to allow other people to speak on this crop. This crop destroys people in this country. It destroys young people. This crop is illicit. It is a drug. We will get rid of it from this house.
Thank you, Honorable Bashir.
Honorable Speaker, I want to support and acknowledge the statement by Honorable Nchoke. It is true that these are drugs that actually affect the lives of many people, especially the youth. It's known. It has been classified as a drug, especially this substance called Moguka. This is the one that is destroying the lives of many youths and people.
Thank you.
The statistics is there. Nakada has spoken. Even Minister of Health 7 years ago has classified these things as illicit drugs.
Thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Mutuse.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a procedural issue because I have listened very carefully. Would you protect me, Mr. Speaker, so that this is a debating chamber and not a heckling chamber?
The Honorable Ruku. Order. The Honorable Ruku. Take your seat. Honorable members, this, the Honorable Mutuse, take your seat. Order. This statement, the statement. No, I'm not going to throw anybody out of Parliament this morning. This order. This request on statement is referred to the Committee on Education, and that's where the matter ends. The next statement request is by the Honorable Peter Mbogo. The Honorable Peter Mbogo. Go ahead. The Honorable Peter Mbogo. I already have referred your. Is there any member of the Committee of Education in the House today? Okay, can you go ahead, Honorable Gesario? 1 minute, Honorable Mbogo. 1 minute, Honorable Mbogo. 1 minute. Go ahead, Gesario. Go ahead. Honorable Gesario.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We'll give a response immediately after recess.
Okay,
That's
thank
2
you.
weeks.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mwatate.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of Departmental Committee on Labor regarding the unfair dismissal of Mr. Paul Mondoe Mzenge by Kenya Ports Authority. Honorable Speaker, Mr. Paul Mondoe Mzenge was employed by Kenya Ports Authority on 8th March 1985 as an electrical technician of staff number KPA number 88642. He worked diligently for 5 years and was confirmed as a permanent and pensionable employee after completing his probation period. However, on 3rd July 1990, he received a letter stating that his services were terminated on account of persistent breach of discipline. In addition, the parastatal invited Mr. Paul Mzenge for a disciplinary hearing but failed to give him sufficient notice to prepare for the hearing and also did not provide him with an opportunity to be heard and show cause on the issues brought forward against him. Honorable Speaker, Article 41(1) of the Constitution provides that every person has the right to fair labor practices. Additionally, Section 43 of the Employment Act, Cap 226, provides that in any claim arising out of termination of a contract, the employer is required to prove the reasons for termination, failure to which the termination shall be deemed to have been unfair. Mr. Mzenge has suffered injustices for over 30 years since being unfairly dismissed by the Kenya Ports Authority, which failed to prove reasons for the dismissal as no evidence was provided to the employee contrary to the law. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Labor on the following. 1. Reasons for the unlawful dismissal of Mr. Paul Mondoe Mzenge by the Kenya Ports Authority on 3rd July 1990 and steps taken by Kenya Ports Authority to pay any outstanding benefits and pension owed to Mr. Paul Mzenge, as well as compensation for the unwarranted violation of his labor rights guaranteed under Article 41 of the Constitution. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Baya, I cannot see the chairperson of the Committee on Labor. Would you take charge of this? I hope you got the question.
I think we will let them know because I think they're in liaison committee right now, and when they're done, then we will let him have the statement.
In how long can this be?
Well, give us 2 weeks, and specifically after recess.
So can we get an answer the week when you come back for recess?
Much obliged.
Okay, the Honorable Peter, you take it up with him so that this is done at the right time. The member for Chuka Igamangombe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 442C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding construction of Kirege Forest, Mobukuro Road in Chuka Igamangombe constituency. Honorable Speaker, in 2018, contract number RWC 422 was awarded for the construction of Keria Kadwana Road to bitumen standards. This project covered a total of 32 kilometers, of which 7 kilometers were located in Chuka Igamangombe constituency. However, in 2020, Kadwana town situated in Chuka Igamangombe constituency was designated as a municipality, and subsequently the Kenya Urban Loans Authority, KULA, took over the 7-kilometer section of the road that was managed by Kenya Rural Loans Authority at the time. Honorable Speaker, in the same year following consultations with the Director General and the Regional Manager for Kenya Rural Loans Authority, the 7-kilometer Kirege Forest Mobukuro Road was selected and agreed upon as an alternative road to be undertaken by KERA to replace the 7-kilometer section already taken up by KURA. The Kirege Forest Mobukuro Road was identified as a priority infrastructure initiative to enhance connectivity and benefit the constituents. Despite this agreement, the road is yet to be constructed. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. 1, report on the status of the 7 kilometers Kirege Forest Mobukuro Road construction project, including any financial and administrative factors that have led to the delay in construction. And 2, plans put in place by the ministry to ensure completion of construction of the said road and the specific date of completion of the project. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Before you answer, the Honorable Wamboka, the Honorable Jack Wamboka, just go to the bar and come back. And you should not repeat that. The Honorable Jack Wamboka, you are out of order. This house shall have decorum. Is the chairman of Committee on Transport? Then Obaya, again, this is in your hands. Right. Then Obaya, I hope you got the question.
Yes, first week after recess, we'll have a response. I will inform the chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Much obliged.
But before you go to the next question, join me in welcoming students from Kerugoya Municipality Primary School, Kirinyaga Central, Kirinyaga County, and students from Winners Academy, Kajiado South, Kajiado County. They are seated in the public gallery, and they are welcome to follow the proceedings of the House this morning. On the same breath, honorable members, join me in welcoming students from Riara Group of Schools, from the Dagoretti North Constituency, Nairobi County, and students from Kibauni Secondary School, Mwala, Machakos County. They are seated in the Speaker's Gallery and they are welcome to follow proceedings this morning. Thank you. Then Parashina, 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take this opportunity to welcome the students in the public gallery and also in the Speaker Gallery to this Lancaster House, whereby they have come to see practically what happens here and follow our proceedings today. I want to encourage the students as they go back, they take serious issue to do with education, because academic or education is the start of everything in life. And majority of us who are here, or members who are here, have also passed through the same route, or they once upon a time are also students. And also we encourage them that one day they will get us an opportunity to come here and be members of parliament. Mr. Speaker, in a special way, let me welcome Winners Academy. Winners Academy is a school in Kajiado South, constituency, in Kimana, in Loritoto sub-county. It is a school that was started in the year 2008 by Miss Maina with the inspiration of developing a child as a whole, both spiritually, psychologically, and even in terms of academy.
Thank you.
So as I'm celebrating her because of starting a very nice school in my place, I know the Winners Academy has produced learners who have joined even national school, for example, Mangu, and also we have who have also proceeded to university and pursue medicine, engineering, and other economic courses. So, Mr. Speaker, I want just to say I'm proud of them, and I wish all the students mercy safaris back home, and I wish them that once they go back, they do the best and continue education. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you. All members, I have 2 questions to independent officers and commissions. The first one is by Honorable Baya of Kilifi North. You got a question to the TSC? It's in the order paper.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask question 001 of 2025 on the following one. Could the Teachers Service Commission explain why Mrs. Janet Kazo of TSC number 468522 was dismissed by the Teacher Service Commission while serving as a head teacher at Rigathi Primary School? 2, clarify whether Ms. Kazo was accorded fair hearing in accordance with the applicable statutes prior to her dismissal. And 3, explain why other teachers who were dismissed on similar grounds as Mrs. Kazo were reinstated while her efforts to seek reinstatement by the Commission have been futile. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. This request is referred to the Committee on Education, who shall summon the CEO of TSC to deal with the matter. Is Honorable Kasalu in the House? Honorable Kasalu, you have a chance now to... I know you've just come, but in the order paper, you can use the order paper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise to ask question 004 of 2025 to the Teacher Service Commission. Number 1, I would like the Commission to elaborate on the criterion used for recruiting primary school teachers and clarify whether there is a different criterion for recruitment of female teachers, particularly in Kitui County. Number 2, explain the reasons that led to the female teachers applicants in Kitui County being discriminated against in the recently concluded recruitment process for primary school teachers based on their birthplace, despite the fact female teachers applicants providing their marriage certificate and affidavits indicating that they're indicating their status and are residents in Kitui County. And number 3, state the actions being taken by the Commission to ensure that the affected teachers are accorded equal employment opportunities given their exemplary performance during the recent recruitment exercise. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. It's a very weighty issue raised by the member there, that there are ladies who are married in counties where they can't be employed because they can't produce certificates of marriage. And I hope the committee concerned, the Committee on Education, will get to the bottom of this matter, because I don't think it's just a matter of Kitui County, but it's an issue across the board. So the question is accordingly to be replied to before the Committee on Education. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of business from the provisions of Standing Order number 43.
Go ahead, Honorable Baya. Go ahead.
Thank you. Second. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order numbers 9 and 10 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable Speaker, as you may be aware, that we have started the financial cycle, all right? And that there are certain documents that must be provided and must be debated in this House so that we can pass the budget cycle that we have started. One of those documents, Honorable Speaker, is the budget policy statement. The budget policy statement must come to this House, be debated, and actually passed. Another important piece of legislation, Honorable Speaker, is the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, which we started yesterday. These pieces of legislation must be completed before we can now move full cycle into the budget cycle and make sure that the financial year is properly done. So, Honorable Speaker, it is for those reasons that I will request this House to approve the exemption of the motions 9 and 10, that they be debated today, which is actually a day set aside for private members' motions. And because of that, Honorable Speaker, I would like us to start on the report on the 2025 budget policy statement. I think the chairperson, who is also the Honorable Deputy Speaker, is ready to move this motion. And also we can resume the debate that was interrupted yesterday on the County Government Additional Allocations Bill, so that, Honorable, we can make progress to ensure that the budget cycle is properly done. Honorable Speaker, I will request the Honorable Wako, our Deputy Whip, to second this motion. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I second this motion because it is very important at this particular time. Giving it enough time for members to debate and understand is the most important thing that we can do. And that is why I second. Thank you.
Oh, members, I therefore propose the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as orders numbers 9 and 10 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. Order. Order, Honorable Baya. Take your seat. Honorable Mogoya, what do you want to say?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Such a motion, you can't say put the question, because yesterday we approved, we extended the timings for tomorrow and the day after. Now, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that it is the majority leader, you cannot belabor this House with business from the executive to ignore the business of members when Wednesday is meant for members' business. Looking at the order paper, there are several motions that have been there. Why should we exempt business that is we have already planned for the day of tomorrow, Thursday morning? We also have a session for Friday. So why do you want to ignore the business for today? And looking at, Chair, what is ahead of us, today we have the voting of several committees. Why do you want to bring such business when you are aware that we will be stepping out to do voting? So Mr. Speaker, I oppose this motion by the majority leader. It is not a priority. This is the day we are meant to discuss member. And I want to tell him the CDF uses today was a private member's bill. This is a very important and sacred moment for private issues of this House. You can do your business in the afternoon. And tomorrow we have approved that the business that is there, the majority leader table, we can go ahead with the business today. So, Mr. Speaker, I oppose the motion before the House. It should not see the light of the day, Mr. Speaker, because it is not even important. I don't understand the speed at which they have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Dawood. The Honorable Baya, this is your motion. What's out of order?
No, you
Honorable Dawood, let's hear what the Honorable Baya has to say. Yes.
Honorable Speaker, it is very sad.
Is it a point of order? No. Is it a point of order or you want to argue?
No. It's a point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Out of order?
You know, the order of business in this House and the standing orders that are provided, Honorable Speaker, put certain motions as important certain motions. That is what the standing order says. And they're given priority even in the standing order.
Baya.
So, Honorable Speaker, the budget policy statement is a very important motion that is recognized even by the standing orders. So for the likes of one person from wherever he comes from, this Honorable Ngogoyo, who has now acquired a lot of bad manners by belonging to Honorable Speaker, he needs to understand. He needs to understand, Honorable Speaker, that a budget policy statement is very, very important.
Take your seat. This is a motion, and we are debating it. So you cannot say that a member has bad manners because he has a view that is opposed to yours. The Honorable Dawood, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the majority leader should hold his horses because we support this procedural motion because of the time-bound budget, and I think Honorable Gogoyo is just playing to the gallery for now. But we support this procedural motion because it's very important for this country and for the National Assembly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Rachel Nyamai, call by.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support this motion, Honorable Speaker. And I would like to say that in the budget making cycle, BPS, budget policy statement, is the most important. And this House, Honorable Speaker, guided by the House Business Committee, can drop anything just for the BPS process to go so that we can have the estimates. And I think it is very important for the Honorable Gogoyo to learn. He's normally a very fast learner. He's good, actually. And I would like to tell him that just speak very quickly. The moment you hear anything about budget, say that you support it, because it is what brought you here. These children from Riara who are seated here today, I'm sure they are very keen to know what is this procedural motion about. It is just the procedure that we would like to change so that we have BPS passing today. And I think, Gogoyo, when you hear about budget, just say yes, because that is what brought you here. That is what will make you take goodies to the people who elected you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Sabina Chege.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity, and I stand to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, I understand my friend Gogoyo is still learning.
He's not Gogoyo. He's the Honorable Gogoyo.
That's why I've even started with my friend, so it's even deeper
than
Honorable.
Honorable Gogoyo.
Yes, so Honorable Gogoyo
correct.
Is still learning, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes special occasions, special situations, and especially when we have reports or motions that have timelines, we may need to relook at the order. And so I would request, Mr. Speaker, that we support the request and the motion so that when we are able to deal with the report on budget policy, even what we are looking at, and I'm one of the affected persons because I had a special motion, we will still require support from the budget, and the budget policy is quite important. And looking at the order number 10 also, the amount of money that needs the additional allocation to the county government is also a very important motion.
Thank you.
So I support Mr. Speaker, and I urge the other honorable members to support. Thank you.
Lastly on this is Honorable Mokali Mulu. Last.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to say I support this motion. But even as we support, a few things must go on record, Honorable Speaker. If you look at the calendar of this House, it is only Wednesday morning when honorable members, individual members of this House, can have a bill go with their name for signature. And we have said many times, yesterday we did approve, Honorable Speaker, tomorrow morning, we approved Friday morning for government business. As House, Honorable Speaker, I still want to insist, Honorable Speaker, let the House Business Committee of this House allow Wednesday mornings to be for private members, motions or bills. Because it's the only time we have, Honorable Speaker.
Correct.
I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Baya, I'm sure you sit in the House Business Committee. Do you sit in the House Business Committee?
Yeah, once in a while I do.
So just take your seat, Honorable Baya. Just take your seat. Just take your seat. What Honorable Makali is raising is very important. That every time the majority side borrows time for private members' bill, they should refund that time. That's the issue he's raising. And I hope that the leadership has listened to him, and that in future, we could also create time for private members' bill in government, in majority time, to accommodate them. That is his point. Oh, members, I want to put the question. And the question is that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as orders number 9 and 10 in today's order paper, for the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. Will, as one of the opinion, say aye? Aye. Will, as many opinion, say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, report on the 2025 budget policy statement.
The chairperson, liaison committee.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 48, I beg to move the following motion in an amended form. That this House adopts the report of the Liaison Committee on the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026 and a compendium of the departmental committee's reports on the 2025 budget policy statement laid on the table of this House on Tuesday, 11th March 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 25(7) of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, and Standing Order 232, 9 and 10. A, approves the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026. B, makes the following financial resolutions with respect to the budget policy statement. 1. The national government budget ceiling be approved at Kenya shillings 2,373,774,081,480, of which the executive gets Kenya shillings 2,447,536,081,480, and of which the Auditor General gets Kenya shillings 8,652,200,000, and Parliament gets Kenya shillings 49,488,200,000. 2, the judiciary gets Kenya shillings 26,749,800,000. And resolves that the allocation to the county government equitable share be approved at Kenya shillings 405,69,420,197. 3, resolves that, consistent with the latest audited and approved revenues for the financial year 2020-2021, amounting to Kenya shillings 1,570,562,147,014, the allocation to the equalization fund be set at Kenya shillings 7,852,814,725. And 4, approves that the arrears to the equalization fund be set at Kenya shillings 2,747,185,000
275. And 5, approves that the allocation for the county additional allocations be approved at Kenya shillings 69,802,409,623 as per the 3rd schedule to the report, which shall form the basis for the county government additional allocations bill for the financial year 2025-2026. And 6, approves that the allocation for the public participation initiatives be approved at 3 billion. And resolves, continuing to resolve, resolves that the first and second schedules to the report form the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates. D, resolves that once approved by the House, these recommendations shall form the basis for the 2025-2026 budget estimates. E, resolves that consistent with the resolution of the House on the 2025 medium-term debt strategy, the fiscal deficit is maintained at 4.3% of GDP. And F, orders that the first schedule to the order paper forms the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates, and G, makes the policy resolutions contained in the second schedule to the order paper, that is the non-financial recommendations relating to the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026, and H, makes the necessary adjustments to the schedules. Honorable Speaker, I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the members of the Liaison Committee for their efforts in reviewing the budget policy statements, and I particularly commend them for their dedication, the long hours, past midnight many times, and worked through to ensure that we were able to complete this work on time. Especially considering that this was the first time that the various chairpersons were evaluating policies at a universal level and not just at the individual departmental committees. Honorable Speaker, the budget-making process from a legislative perspective begins with a review of the budget policy statement, which outlines the key policies and expenditure ceilings based on the recommendations from the sector working groups and the Cabinet. Honorable Speaker, in accordance to the Public Finance Management Act and the National Assembly Standing Orders, the Budget and Appropriations Committee usually examines the budget policy statement. But in 2025, it was tabled on the 13th of February and referred to the Liaison Committee on the February the 18th. Honorable Speaker, the Liaison Committee, while finalizing this report, conducted an inclusive process, consulting the departmental committees, the Office of the Auditor General, the Commission on Revenue Allocation, the Parliamentary Service Commission, and the National Treasury to gather insights and discuss budget priorities. This collaborative effort ensured that the recommendations in the report are well informed, inclusive, and aligned, and also aligned with national priorities. Honorable Speaker, upholding Article 201 of the Constitution, which mandates public participation in the budget-making process, the committee invited the public to submit memoranda, receiving 42 submissions that were carefully reviewed and the views captured in this report. Honorable Speaker, this is the third budget policy statement under the Kenya Kwanza government, aligning with the fourth medium-term plan, which prioritizes a bottom-up economic transformation approach to ensure equitable growth. Honorable Speaker, the budget policy statement focuses on key social economic goals, such as making essential goods affordable, enhancing food security, creating employment, and expanding the tax base, and strengthening therefore strengthening our foreign exchange reserves and promoting inclusive growth. Honorable Speaker, the 2025 budget policy statement sets expenditure ceilings for the national government, including parliament and the judiciary, and outlines indicative county transfers for the financial year 2025-2026 and the medium term. Honorable Speaker, once the budget policy statement report is approved, these ceilings will guide the national budget, the division of revenue bill 2020, and the 2025 county fiscal strategy papers in alignment with national priorities. Honorable Speaker, going into the specifics of the budget policy document, the total projected expenditure for the financial year 2025-2026 is 4,263 billion. That is 22.1% of GDP, and is allocated as follows: Kenya shillings 1.730 billion for recurrent expenditure, Kenya shillings 758 billion for development, and 3 Kenya shillings 1.369.2 billion for the consolidated fund services, and 4 Kenya shillings 405 billion for county equitable share. Honorable Speaker, it is important to highlight that the sectoral budget ceilings for the financial year 2025-2026 allocate 1 Kenya shillings 723.9 billion to education, which is 28.3%, and 2 Kenya shillings 504.6 billion to energy, which is 19.7%, and 3 Kenya shillings 286.7 billion to public administration, which is 11.2%. 4 Kenya shillings 265.8 billion to governance, which is 10.4%. And 5 Kenya shillings 257 billion to national security, which is 10%. And 6 Kenya shillings 204.5 billion to health, which is 8%. And 7 Kenya shillings 103.7 billion to water and natural resources, which makes up 4.1%. And 7 Kenya shillings 78.8 billion to social protection, culture and recreation, which is 3.1%. And 9, that was 8 actually, so now we go to 9. And 9 Kenya shillings 77.6 billion to agriculture and urban development, which is 3%. And 10 Kenya shillings 59.1 billion to general economic and commercial affairs, which makes up 2.3%. Honorable Speaker, the committee has put forward the following key recommendations, which I strongly encourage members to endorse. And we have divided them into financial and non-financial recommendations. I shall begin with non-financial recommendations. 1, that further to the resolution of the House during the approval of the financial year 2024-25 estimates on re-engineering the integrated financial management information system, the National Treasury to submit by the 30th of April 2025 geographical information of the development projects by the county and constituency to ensure equitable distribution of development projects. 2, that during the submission of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-2026, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning to ensure that the projects that are nearing completions are prioritized for resource allocation. And 3, given that several policy pronouncements in the budget policy statements have not been funded before submission of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-2026 to the National Assembly, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning has to ensure that these priorities have been factored within the approved ceilings. And 4, that the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning submit to the National Assembly a statement on the fiscal impact of adopting a zero-based budgeting during the submission of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-2026. And 5, that to entrench oversight of appropriations in aid and earmarked public funds, the National Treasury should do the following. A, collate and report on all appropriations in aid generated by non-commercial national government entities, including fees, charges, levies, together with related expenditure, and projects and programs, and provide the report to the National Assembly by the 30th of April 2025, which is next month. And B, report to the National Assembly on all extra budgetary funds and related expenditure by the 30th of April 2025. And C, by September 2025, propose the amendments to the Controller of Budget Act to provide for the Controller of Budget to approve utilization of appropriations in aid and related expenditure. And D, by September 2025, identify and propose amendments to the National Assembly on the overall framework for the financial management of appropriations in aid, including the repeal of non-critical public funds and appropriation in aid mandates. And 6, that given that the government is relying on the several payment systems for various functions such as capitation for schools, salary payments, transfer to counties, exchequer releases, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning to provide Parliament with an update on the integration of government payment systems within the IFMIS system, that's the Integrated Financial Management Information System, the entire ecosystem, to enhance the transparency and accounting by the 30th of April 2025. And 7, that during the submission of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-2026, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning to submit to the National Assembly a statement on timelines and fiscal impact of merging, restructuring, and winding up state entities in line with the Cabinet decision of the 21st of January 2025. And 8, that during the submission of the budget estimates for the financial year 2025-2026, the IGRTC to submit to the National Assembly a statement of the fiscal impact and the timelines for implementation of Gazette number CXXV1I, number 2019 of 2024, on the delineation and transfer of devolved functions. 9, that during the submissions of the budget estimates of the financial year 2025-2026, the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Economic Planning to provide the list of public-private projects to be implemented in the year 2025-2026. And that brings me to the end of the non-financial recommendations. And the financial recommendations by the committee are as follows. Honorable Speaker, based on the deliberations and considering the fiscal responsibility principle, the committee recommends that this House resolves to approve the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026. the national government budget ceiling be approved at Kenya shillings 2,523,774,081,480, of which the executive receives 2,447,536,081,480. Of which the Auditor General will receive 8,652,200,000, and Parliament shall receive 49,488,200,000, whereas the judiciary shall receive 26,749,800,000. That the county allocation, the allocation to the county government equitable share be approved at 405,69,420,197. That consistent with the latest audited and approved revenues for the financial year 2020 and 2021 amounting to 1,570,562,945,014 as the allocation for the equalization, and the allocation of the equalization fund shall be set as follows, shall be set at 7,850,000,000.
The Honorable Chair, I think you are going through this, so you can just say us about the order paper, because all this is now the order paper.
All right. So thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Just go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then that the arrears to the equalization fund be set at 2,747,185,275. That the allocation for the county government additional allocation be approved at 69,802,409,623 as set out. And that the House approves the House further approved that the allocation for public participation initiatives be approved at 3 billion. That the first and second schedule to the report forms the basis for the ceilings of the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates, and that once approved by the House, these recommendations shall form the basis for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates. That consistent to the resolution of the House on the 2025 medium-term debt strategy, the fiscal deficit is maintained at 4.3% of GDP. And also orders that the first schedule to the order paper forms the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates, and makes a policy resolution contained in the second schedule to the order paper, that is the non-financial recommendations on the budget policy statements, and lastly, makes the necessary adjustments to the schedules. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request Honorable Martha Wangare, member for Gilgil and also Vice Chairperson of the Liaison Committee, to second this motion. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Well done, Honorable Chair. Before the Honorable Martha Wangari comes in, members, join me in welcoming pupils from Sheria House, Starehe, Nairobi County. Students from Kiurani Boys High School, Maara, Tharaka Nithi County. Students from Kasue Girls Secondary School, Kibwezi West, Makueni County. And students from Roysambu School, Roysambu, Nairobi County. They are seated in the public gallery and speakers gallery, and they are welcome to follow proceedings this morning. Honorable Martha Wangari, Vice Chairperson, Liaison Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Even as I second, allow me to welcome the students that are in the galleries. I know today I'm also expecting Gilgil Day and Koelel High Schools from Gilgil. And Mr. Speaker, you can see how the galleries are full. That is to say we are doing well as a house, and I thank the clerk's office for the proper facilitation of the students, and I wish them well even as they observe the proceedings of this house. Mr. Speaker, allow me to start by joining my chair to actually appreciate the members of this liaison committee. Mr. Speaker, as I had said earlier, is that this is nothing usual. It's for the first time that in this house, in this 13th parliament, the liaison committee has been tasked to act as the budget committee. And Mr. Speaker, what that has done, it has given us a very privileged position as chairs of departmental committees to actually be able to have a dashboard view of how the country is run, ask questions, and that is why, Mr. Speaker, we have been taking long hours to actually also understand very well this budgeting process. Mr. Speaker, the mover has already alluded to the figures, and I know they are on the order paper, so I'll not dwell on the figures, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to just say generally that what a BPS or the budget policy paper is supposed to do is outline the goals of any government, Mr. Speaker, for the upcoming fiscal year, Mr. Speaker, and also guide the decision making for the upcoming budget. Mr. Speaker, this BPS is also meant to set the fiscal strategy, short and long term, and also assess the current state of the economy, Mr. Speaker, and also inform the House and the public in extension the resources envelope as it is and what exactly we have in the pot that we are supposed to share from. Mr. Speaker, I will pick a few issues that are very touchy to members in terms of the recommendations that we have done as we listen to different stakeholders during this BPS hearing, Mr. Speaker. And one of the office that has been very consistent, I would say, is the Comptroller of Budget Office, and has been, I would say, grossly underfunded in terms of doing their role, Mr. Speaker, and performing their mandate. And Mr. Speaker, one of the issues that has been recommended to this House is that because we are a legislating House, we should definitely consider getting the Comptroller of Budget to be able to also oversight A&A money. Mr. Speaker, what that means is that the monies that are collected by MDAs, that are collected by ministries and are not subjected to go to the consolidated fund, then are not in the purview of the Comptroller of Budget. Mr. Speaker, and not just that, even some funds, specifically the housing fund, Mr. Speaker, if you ask the Comptroller of Budget her role in terms of looking after our monies in the housing fund, they will tell you that they are not under her purview. So I would actually hope that this House, Mr. Speaker, takes these recommendations very seriously to be able to look at the law in what can be moved and what can be changed to ensure that this utilization of A&A is actually done in the proper way and the legal issues that have been raised by the Comptroller of Budget have been considered. Mr. Speaker, that will ensure efficiency of the monies that come under A&A and the ones that come under other funds like housing fund, Mr. Speaker, because they're still public money. And that way we'll have transparency, we'll have accountability, and we'll also have timely implementation of the projects that are supposed to be undertaken. The issue of equalization fund, Mr. Speaker, you know, has been alluded to by the mover, is also very touchy to this House. I know it has been debated at length, and this has also been touched on this report. Mr. Speaker, just yesterday, the county revenue additional bill was actually being debated yesterday, and I think it is very important that it has also been included in this report because some of the issues are pending because of the monies not being available to the counties. But Mr. Speaker, one of the issues that cuts across, regardless of whether national or county government, is in terms of the good use of monies. The prudent use of resources, Mr. Speaker. It is not something that we can ignore. And I think what the public really want to see, even when we speak that we are going to actually supplement our envelope, even from borrowing, the interest of the Kenyan person and the Kenyan Wanjiko, Atieno, Naseria is to see that that money has been put into proper use. And Mr. Speaker, what that means is that if we have said we are borrowing to do a road, we are borrowing to do a dam, has it been done? The other issue, Mr. Speaker, which is very key to this House, is the issue of Kera Kura. Mr. Speaker, this budget policy statement has also recommended that any monies below 50 million that are being procured under Kera and Kura be done at the regional level. That way, Mr. Speaker, we also decentralize the bureaucracy and also ensure timely implementation of projects. So, Mr. Speaker, without further ado, I second.
Honorable members, as you are aware, this motion was moved in an amended form, and therefore I propose the question that this House adopt the report of the Liaison Committee on the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026 and a compendium of departmental committee reports on the 2025 BPS laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 11th March 2025, and pursuant to the provision of Section 25(7) of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, and standing order number 232, paragraphs 9 and 10, A, approve the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025-2026. B, makes the following financial resolutions with respect to the BPS. Roman 1, that the national government budget ceiling be approved at Kenya shillings 2,523,774,081,480, of which the executive would be allocated Kenya shillings 2,447,536,081,480, of which the Office of the Auditor General shall be allocated Kenya shillings 8,652,200,000. Parliament shall be allocated Kenya shillings 49,488,200,000, and judiciary shall be allocated 26,749,800,000. This House further resolves that the allocation to the county government equitable share be approved at Kenya shillings 405,069,420,197, and further that, consistent with the latest audited and approved revenues for financial year 2020-21, amount to Kenya shillings 1,470,562,945,014, the allocation of calculation fund be set at Kenya shillings 7,852,814,725. The House further approves that the arrears to the calculation fund be set at 2,747,185,275. And further that, the House approves that the allocation for the county government additional allocations be approved at Kenya shillings 69,802,409,623 as per the third schedule to the report, which shall form the basis for the county government additional allocations bill of the financial year 2025-2026. The House further approves that the allocation for the public participation initiatives be approved at Kenya shillings 3 billion, and that the first and second schedule to the report shall form the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates, and further that once approved by the House, these recommendations shall form the basis for the 2025-2026 budget estimates. And further that, consistent with the resolution of the House on the 2025 medium-term debt strategy, the fiscal deficit is maintained at 4.3% of the GDP. The House further orders that the first schedule to the order paper form the basis for the ceilings for the financial year 2025-2026 budget estimates. And the House further makes the policy resolutions contained in the second schedule to the order paper, and that is non-financial recommendations relating to the budget policy statement for the financial year 2025, and finally, that this House makes the necessary adjustments to the schedules. The Honorable Owen Bayer, member for Kilifi North.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to make my contribution to the BPS. Honorable Speaker, the budget policy statement is usually the foundation of the budget and also the foundation for the financial year. And Honorable Speaker, it speaks to the national finance, the money envelope that is available for the financial year 2025-2026. Honorable Speaker, important things to note. If you look at this order paper, Honorable Speaker, although the motion is on the first page, continuing into page 12, Honorable Speaker, there are very important notes, Honorable Speaker, that come in this motion, what is called the first schedule and the second schedule. Honorable Speaker, the first schedule gives the details and the breakdowns per ministry, Honorable Speaker, that is found on page 216 of the order paper. If you look at those pages, Honorable Speaker, you will see that the details of the budget as proposed and the ceilings set on those pages. So you'll be able to see Executive Office of the President, Office of the Deputy President, and it goes on and on until you get, Honorable Speaker, to the last department. Let me get that, members. The last department, which is on Senate, Honorable Speaker, where we have votes for Parliamentary Service Commission, the National Assembly, Parliamentary Joint Services, and Senate. And you end up with having the 2.5 trillion budget, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the import of the budget policy statement that it makes certain important pronouncements, very important pronouncements, Honorable Speaker, that guides on how we will spend the money and also generate the money for the country and sets the ceilings, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am very concerned and interested in the policy resolutions, because you cannot have a budget, Honorable Speaker, that does not have policy resolutions. These policy resolutions are fundamental in ensuring that the budget is properly implemented. And one of the key resolutions, Honorable Speaker, is that further to the resolution of the House during the approval of the financial year 2024-2025 estimate on re-engineering the Integrated Financial Management System, IFMIS, the National Treasury submits geographical information of development projects per county. Now, that's very important, Honorable Speaker. We have an IFMIS system that has been here for a long time now, and it helps really in managing the finances of this country. But the most important statement that is made here is that the Ministry of Treasury should now submit geographical information of development projects per county and constituency by 30th April 2025. Honorable Speaker, this is fundamental. This is very important because we have had skewed development in this country where other regions have had more resources and other regions have had less resources. Areas, Honorable Speaker, that have been purposely been underdeveloped and underserved because of political reasons or otherwise, Honorable Speaker. But we are saying, as Parliament, we want to know where these projects are. And I want to urge the guys at Ministry of Treasury to ensure they submit to this Parliament by 30th of April 2025 the development projects per county and per constituency. Honorable Speaker, I want to see how much has been invested in my constituency, how many projects are in my constituency, how many projects are in the county that I come from, and also I also want to see how many projects are in the constituency of the Honorable Speaker sitting, and also how many are in his county. We want to see what was being said here yesterday, that other people have benefited more from budgetary allocations than other areas. We want to see, Honorable Speaker, and understand why other regions have more money than other regions. This geographical information is very important, and we await for it in this Parliament on the 30th of April. Honorable Speaker, as you go ahead, Parliament is also requesting for a list of development projects that are earmarked for completion. There are very many, Honorable Speaker, incomplete projects. Somebody, especially the last regime, Honorable Speaker, they come for political reasons, they start a project, you clap for them, and then they disappear. The contractor does 1 kilometer of road or 500 meters of road, then they disappear. Honorable Speaker, this has led to a lot of issues. Actually, interest rates on loans have continued to skyrocket, to spiral, and yet projects are not being done.
The chair gives you an additional 3 minutes, let's say.
Honorable Speaker, so we would like to see this so that this country does not continue to lose money. Honorable Speaker, one of the most important things that this budget statement does, it does one thing. It allocates money and I want to thank Liaison Committee. It allocates money for equalization fund and then says that the arrears for equalization fund must also be given. You know, equalization is a fund, Honorable Speaker. It is a fund. A fund means each year money must be allocated. And if that money has not been utilized, it stays in the account. It stays in the account. But previously what we have been done, and all those communities that are supposed to receive equalization fund, the money when it's voted, it's never put in the account. And therefore, all those projects that were meant for that particular year, especially the years when we had a court case, that money was not put there. But I want to thank the Liaison Committee for doing one bold step, that we allocate 7 billion for equalization fund, but also allocate 2 billion for arrears. There are so many equalization projects that stalled because of the court case that was there. And many suppliers had not been paid, many contractors have not been paid. But what this means is, therefore, we're going to have a reprieve. And those areas that needed to have this money for equalization, the money is made available. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for noting that we need to put equalization fund at 7 billion, but also arrears at 2 billion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, another very important thing that we must note, apart from the money that is going into the money that, Honorable Speaker, is going to the counties, the additional funds allocation has also been factored in the BPS. And I think that is very important because it brings accountability. A lot of time money is spent without a proper accounting process, and therefore accountability is lost in the process. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I would like to congratulate the committee for ensuring that the additional resources also go into the BPS. Honorable Speaker, I want to speak briefly on agriculture. This BPS also note that by 31st December 2025, the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock develops and submits to the National Assembly regulations for hides and skins. Honorable Speaker, we are a livestock country, but we have not benefited from the hides and skins, a big industry that can transform this country. Honorable Speaker, for the first time, this BPS makes such a fundamental resolution that the Minister for Agriculture submits to this Parliament a policy guideline on how we are going to harness the hides and skins that we have to set up factories that are going to employ many people, and Kenya can actually be a net Kenya is going to be a net exporter of shoes, an industry that we used to have butter here, Honorable Speaker, which closed down. And yet, if you go to the north of Kenya, you find a lot of cattle. You go to part of the eastern, you find a lot of cattle. But what are we doing with the hides and skins apart from eating the meat, Honorable Speaker? This is a first step towards industrialization and a first step towards realizing better for this country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity, and let me also join my brothers in congratulating the Liaison Committee for a job well done. The budget policy statement sets the stage for the budget making process, and what they have achieved under very stringent timeline is adorable, and we thank them. Honorable Speaker, this is unprecedented because the budget-making process falls under the purview of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. And because of the lapse of certain committees, the mandate was ably picked by the Liaison Committee, and they have done a splendid job in that regard, Honorable Speaker. The skewed resource allocation in this country, Honorable Speaker, needs to be addressed. Yesterday, I heard the majority leader and the minority leader give a swipe at the outgoing composition of the Budget Committee, Honorable Speaker. And they did give an indication that if the current Budget Committee, as will be constituted, will play the same monkey business, that they will be facing a dissolution before this House, and it has been done before, Honorable Speaker. Every Kenyan pays taxes, so these taxes must serve as equally, Honorable Speaker. There is no region within the confines of this republic that people don't submit their taxes, Honorable Speaker. It is a constitutional obligation. And therefore, if there are areas where people get more funding to address their needs to the detriment of others, Honorable Speaker, that must be properly addressed, Honorable Speaker. It is high time that we expanded our tax base. We only have the formal sector paying taxes without sweat. But the informal sector, where a huge chunk of money lies, no one really knows and has designed the best strategy to mop up those taxes that are lying out there without the government's attention, Honorable Speaker. Agriculture, when we were in school, and I believe still to date, contributes the biggest to our GDP, Honorable Speaker, at 65%, Honorable Speaker, including provision of jobs. But this is the only sector that is never funded properly or adequately, Honorable Speaker. The Malabo Protocol did give a ceiling of up to 15% of any budget of any country that subscribes to the Malabo Protocol to fund agriculture, Honorable Speaker. But that is not the case up to now. We must, as a country, achieve a balanced trade so that our money, which is in Kenya shillings, can compete effectively against other foreign currencies, Honorable Speaker. Today, our shilling to the dollar is at 129. Why is it not 100 shillings? Why is it not 1-to-1? Because we tend to import more than we export, and as a result, therefore, we lose the value of our Kenya shilling as a nation, Honorable Speaker. If we export, we attract more dollars, and if we have more dollars circulating within our market, it loses value automatically. And that therefore pushes the value of our shilling higher up, Honorable Speaker. The education sector has been a mess, especially lately, Honorable Speaker, from primary to JSS, to our secondary, to university, to our tertiary. Something needs to be done, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, if it is a funding issue, then we need to channel more monies. Because again, we are not going to, revel at ourselves as those who went to school before the children that we have now, and have the ones that are in school languishing out there. So therefore, we must address this issue of education wholesomely, Honorable Speaker. We must avoid wastages and pilferages of our resources, and certain times we have budgeted corruption. That must stop going forward. The health sector is a great mess. The SHA is not working. The SHIF, the emergency and the chronic funds, all this is a mess, Honorable Speaker. Something must be done in that regard. And finally, we have a very big appetite for loans, both locally and foreign loans. We must find a middle ground as a nation to reduce borrowing so that we can be self-independent.
The Honorable MP for Kwanza.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. First and foremost, I want to congratulate the Licensing Committee for having taken up the responsibility of the Financial Committee, which is not in existence, I understand, and coming up with whatever they have come up. And first and foremost, congratulations. Secondly, as just mentioned, I have not seen a paragraph on incomplete projects in this country. There are very many incomplete projects, and therefore we need to have somebody, at least a committee, be able to be in charge of the incomplete projects so they can be able to have proper funding. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, as we go on, we have a problem of oversight. We have projects that actually are ongoing, and because of the poor oversight, which is, I think, done by the controller of budget, I think we had people who have not done very well, misused resources, but at the end of the day, we don't see them actually being prosecuted or at least made to account. Therefore, this should come out very, very clear. Thirdly, the very important issue is agriculture. I think the allocation of these resources in agriculture, I think, is not very good, because agriculture being given only 3% as compared to the executive, I think is something that we have to review as a house, because this country is an agricultural country, both in semi-arid areas and areas that actually are for production of food for both export and local consumption. I think the 3%, we should review that allocation, because that's not important. It's very little, and I think should be something like, because it produces the food for our country, 2, for export, 3, of course, it provides also employment for our people. And I think, looking at it, I think this should be a priority sector in this particular location, so that we have enough resources to be able to produce enough, both for export, of course, and for local consumption. And then, of course, as I talk, I come from an area where we produce food for this country, and I was expecting that the allocation would be slightly more than what they have done. Mr. Speaker, I realize it's not. It's only 3% of the nature of the resources. That, again, is not. Looking at our scarce resources. Lastly, and not least, I want to ask the Committee of Finance, and I think I'm now told it's a licensed committee for the time being. I think let it come up with additional resources to put in agriculture. I want to stress that, because it's important in this country. We don't do mining. We do what we call generation of resources and misusing the resources properly. And therefore, I think let's put more money in this particular sector. I support.
The MP for Kuria East, followed by the MP for Gichogo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to also join my colleagues in congratulating the Liaison Committee for a job very well done. This is the first time we are seeing inclusivity in BPS and any other matter that concerns budget making as presented in this House. Mr. Speaker, what has caught my eye most is not even the financial recommendations, because that deals with the now. There's not much we can do about it. It is already here with us. What I want to emphasize on is the non-financial recommendations that have been made very ably by the Liaison Committee. Mr. Speaker, geomapping of resource allocation across this country is one of the best things that has happened in this country. The 13th Parliament, therefore, is going to go down in history as that Parliament that actually made steps boldly to equalize resources in this country. Mr. Speaker, we know how the skewed resources has disenfranchised a big proportion of this country to the advantage of a small section of this country. And Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the Liaison Committee and also thank them for the proposal, the recommendation for zero-based budget, which is again critical in financial management. This is quite commendable, as is the recommendation that A now be under the purview of the control of budget, and in that way we are going to be able to deal with those monies that come in counties and any other sagas, and then they are not able to be accounted for, and they are left to be at the discretion of those that are in power in the different categories of devolution. Mr. Speaker, I also want to commend them for proposing that the near completed projects be fully funded so that we taxpayers can realize the value for money. Mr. Speaker, there are so many projects across the country that are dotted all over that are just about 80%, 90% near completion. But they're only gathering interests because the contractors are not being paid, and yet we could just inject a few sub-money into it, and then we'll be able to complete the projects, and then they'll be put to use. Mr. Speaker, I want to deal with a project in my constituency, Kuria East constituency. There's a stalled road, Mr. Speaker, that comes from, starts from Taranganya. It came all the way from Masara in Migori to Kehancha and stopped at Taranganya. We have tried to get this road done and completed from Taranganya to Center, Ntimaru, from Isibania to Nyamtiro, across Center again, going to Kegonga, all across to Kugitimo and Loliondo. And this has been a tall order that has prompted us to even bring in the president, who made a presidential directive that this road be completed. And Mr. Speaker, that brings me to the fifth point that I want to raise. Mr. Speaker, this House must find a way of dignifying presidential directives. It cannot be that the president would go around the country, make pronouncements, give directives, and then they just remain that, just directives. We must find a way of making sure that all presidential directives, be it policy that we will come up with in this House, or be it any other form, be it a fund that we are going to create, so that every time the president makes pronouncements, then these pronouncements mean something. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing out of order. You yes, sit down, you will have your time so that there's nothing out of
point of order. What's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is the honorable member, Kiatama, in order to come and start crying to this House, and he speaks to the president almost daily, because I know he's afraid to the president.
Order, honorable member, order. You are out of order. That's not the point of order. You raised the point of order.
Mr. Speaker, when I say he has no point of order, please believe me, he doesn't have it.
Can you give him an additional minute?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you still have your time, I think.
Actually, I was still within my time.
Okay, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, speaking to the president, even on a daily basis, and the policies that we make here do not anchor him, we protect him, so that the country can move forward, is still not helpful. So I think the point here should be and must remain. And one day, the honorable member there is going to be a beneficiary of these presidential directives. Because the president means well. He intends to equalize this country. There has been a lot of disunity and skewedness in resource allocation that needs a president at one time or another to levelize the playing ground so that everybody in this country can feel included. Mr. Speaker, you saw yesterday the people of Frere Town crying that they just want to become nationals. I mean, if that means that the president goes there and makes them the 50-something tribe of this country, then so be it. Therefore, the presidential directives must find space in this republic, and this House must be bold enough to create that space so that then the people of Kenya can find equity, and we all of us move together as a people, as envisaged in the Constitution, 2010. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and I do support this amended version of the BPS.
Fair enough, Honorable Kitayama. Where is MP for Gishogo? The Honorable, proceed. Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity, and I also take cue in thanking the Liaison Committee for taking up this matter that ought to have been done by the Budget and Appropriation Committee, which term has lapsed, and that confirms to the entire nation that there is no vacuum in this House, that all the matters in respect of the budget policy statement and the budget can be executed even when the term of the Budget and Appropriation Committee has lapsed. But I believe today will be the day to reconstitute the day as per the Speaker's communication. Having said so, Honorable Speaker, I also support the financial and non-financial recommendations that have been made in this budget policy statement report. And when we are looking at the geomapping of the resource allocations in this country, I think we should not only look at the geographical locations of this country. We should also look at the population aspect of it, because resource allocation should also take care of the populations in those areas, because populations also put pressure on the needs of the resources in those areas because of the required facilities, the infrastructure, and so on. Honorable Speaker, I sit in a Committee of Trade Industry and Cooperatives, and I've seen this government in its policy statement has given emphasis to value chain development, including leather, including edible oils, including coffee, tea, and many other value chains towards supporting them for purposes of export. And I believe that is a policy in the right direction. And we should also, as Parliament, continue supporting the agencies that promote export in this country, because Forex will stabilize this country in terms of economy. It will make sure that our farmers earn more out of the exports, and especially coffee and tea. And I say so because I represent a majority of my constituents. About 70 to 80% are tea and coffee farmers. So this is an area that we need to put a lot of emphasis so that farmers can earn more. And one of the such agencies that would promote external markets for our products like tea and coffee are Keproba, which is domiciled in the State Department for Trade. And this time, I think the government has also been keen to support Keproba so that it can also be able to showcase the Kenyan products in the oncoming Osaka export promotion. The last time it was in Dubai 2020 Expo. And actually, the report that we are getting from Keproba that exports increased by about 30% out of that expo by Keproba. I believe this time we should be able to reach about 50 to 60%. And the other area that I would beseech that this Parliament also, when we are passing the budget, we look at is all the stored projects. Like in my constituency, I have stored rooms because there were not enough resources, but I believe this time, because of what has been securitized through the fuel levy, we'll be able to complete the many roads that are stored in Geshogo constituency and many other parts of Kirinyaga, including the road which I normally call Mbosivi of Geshogo, that is the belt which touches on all ones in Kirinyaga, Egeshogo constituency. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Before I go to Honorable Wangwe and the MP for Kirinyaga, I would want to recognize the presence of Kiatineni Secondary School from a Singa constituency in Machakos. I want to welcome the students to the National Assembly. And is there any member of parliament from Ukambani in the chambers now as we speak? Under the circumstances, I think the closest place to Ukambani is Garissa and Northeastern. I'll ask Honorable Kainan to give a word of encouragement to the young students and future leaders from Machakos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to welcome the students to this August House. This is where key decisions concerning this country are made. And I'm sure you're not only the future leaders, but you are also the present leader.
They are actually in the public gallery, so the students from Kiatinini is here.
Yes. So welcome.
If you want to go somewhere where they can see you also. No, that is the speaker's gallery. Kiatinini is here. So go somewhere where they can see the member of parliament who is giving them words of encouragement. Okay, there you go. They can now see you. Proceed. This is the public gallery, that's the speaker's gallery.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bengine, Mr. Speaker, leo ndazungumza kwa Kiswahili. Ningependa niwakaribishe wanafunzi kutoka kwa county ya Machakos. Najua hapa ndio nyumba ambayo sheria inaundwa, na nyinyi mkiwa wanafunzi wa sasa ni nyumba, yani huyu ananiambia niseme nyumba. Najua hapa mmesikia nyinyi mara kwa mara mnaitwa viongozi wa ujao, lakini ningependa niwaeleze nyinyi ni viongozi wa sasa. Mfanye bidii kwa elimu ili muhitimu kuwa viongozi na pia muwe wataalamu. Nchi yetu kwa wakati huu inahitaji wataalamu, kwa hivyo ningependa nichukue fursa hii kuwakaribisha hapa. Msijione, mfanye bidii kwa elimu, mfanye bidii kabisa ili mkihitimu mtapata fursa ya kufanya kazi katika nchi yetu tukufu. Karibuni sana.
Mheshimiwa Kainan, kuna kutunga sheria na kuunda. Kuunda ni kama gari unaunda. Unatunga sheria. Of students from Greensville School from Kajiado. I want to welcome you, Kajiado students, in the Speaker's Gallery. And I noticed the Honorable Parashina is in the house. Honorable Parashina, give them words of encouragement, including taking on you if you don't perform very well in your duties as a member of parliament for one of the constituencies in Kajiado.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And I appreciate that you have given me this opportunity to welcome the school from Kajiado County, to welcome them to this Lancaster House, and then to be able to see and study practically what we do as they follow the proceeding of this house. Mr. Speaker, I would like to encourage them that education is very paramount and is the key to success in life. As you see all of us here contributing as members of parliament, we are always, even us, we used to be like you, our students, we went through the same process, and now we are here as members of parliament where we debate on issues that are of national importance as we legislate and do other duties that this house pertains us to do. So I welcome you here, and I congratulate the school, the teachers, for choosing to come to parliament, to the Kenya National Assembly, to be able to come and see and study and follow our proceeding. Mr. Speaker, I welcome both of them in the public gallery and also in the speaker gallery. Asanteni sana. God bless you.
I also welcome students from Gilgil Day Secondary School. You're welcome to the National Assembly here. I don't know if the member of parliament for Gilgil or any of the members of parliament. Yeah, the honorable member of parliament for Gilgil was somewhere in the chambers a short while ago. Honorable Martha Wangari, give words of encouragement to all students.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And even for indulging me, we were just consulting, Liaison Committee has quite some work to do on the supplementary. But allow me to welcome the students of Gilgil Day Secondary School, one of the biggest day schools in Gilgil. This is the third cohort this session that is visiting Parliament, and I've just spoken to them. Their motto is knowledge is power. So I hope that they can absorb as much as they come to this chamber, and that it will help them even in their future endeavors. And welcome all the others that are in the galleries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Wangwe, followed by Madam Njeri, MP for Kirinyaga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to join my colleagues in supporting the BPS for 2025-2026. Honorable Speaker, this BPS identifies itself, and I want to quote the citation, as being consolidating gains under bottom-up economic transformation agenda for inclusive green growth. Honorable Speaker, you cannot look at the consolidation without looking at the previous years. And I want to look at what happens into the previous years, Honorable Speaker, vis-a-vis the budget that they've given us, or the ceiling that they've given us. This BPS, Honorable Speaker, suggests that the budget for 2025-26 shall be 4.2631 trillion. When you look at the analysis of that, Honorable Speaker, in terms of recurrent at 1.730 trillion, and development of 758 billion, Honorable Speaker, and rework it out in terms of percentage, you find that, Honorable Speaker, 69.5% shall go into recurrent, and 30.45% shall go into development. Honorable Speaker, that means we are not doing very well in terms of what we collect and spend in terms of recurrent and development. We need to really work towards making sure that percentage reverses. Recurrent can be 30, but we use more of what we collect to develop our country, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, looking at the theme of the 2025-26 BPS, vis-a-vis that figure, Honorable Speaker, and then you look at how the government has apportioned the expenditure, Honorable Speaker, I just want to look at the issue that how they've allocated the resources, Honorable Speaker, in terms of health and in terms of roads, Honorable Speaker. Health is getting a very small percentage, Honorable Speaker, whereas we look at the whole issue, where although health is devolved, Honorable Speaker, but what remains up in the national government should also be substantively supported. Honorable Speaker, look at what has been put on education at 28.3%. Yes, most of it could be going to the TSC to employ teachers or support teachers, but what happens? Are we looking at opening up when it comes to the budget, Honorable Speaker, so that we look at individual expenditure of this amount that we are proposing to give them as a ceiling? That is something that, Honorable Speaker, I want to propose, that let it be laid bare. Let it not just come as a consolidated figure when it comes to the final estimates, Honorable Speaker. Let us open it, give it the itemize it all along so that we can be able, Honorable Speaker, to know what is it. And finally, Honorable Speaker, on the allocation, I want to look at the issue of allocation in terms of agriculture. When you look at this BPS, Honorable Speaker, it's appreciating itself in the macroeconomic framework for the 2025 BPS as agriculture being one of the substantive issues that the government is relying on to project the 5.3% growth in GDP. So, Honorable Speaker, if they are looking at it, looking at the growth of 5.3 from the 4.6% in 2024, and you look at the allocation of resources in agriculture, rural and urban development, Honorable Speaker, at 3.0%, then, Honorable Speaker, we are not talking the same language. What it means, Honorable Speaker, we are simply trying to say we will use agriculture to achieve the GDP of 5.3, but we are not supporting agriculture in itself, Honorable Speaker, in the final budget so that we achieve that. What are they speaking in terms of gaining the 5.3, Honorable Speaker? They are saying they are relying on favorable weather condition and implementation of the better. How about if the weather condition changes, Honorable Speaker? We want to look at it like, let us have resources put into agriculture so that, Honorable Speaker, when we speak in terms of achieving the GDP of 5.3, we speak to that and also push for the resources to achieve that. However, Honorable Speaker, there are good things that, Honorable Speaker, this BPS is talking about, and we must applaud the government for what they are able to do. For example, Honorable Speaker,
they are relying on the issue of inflation, Honorable Speaker, which we are all feeling. Inflation has come down, Honorable Speaker, in February, compare itself from 6.3% in February 2024 to 3.5% in February 2025. That's something we have felt, and it's something which is all across